Hello, and welcome to our first edition of CityView Inside. I'm your host, Liz Hatch. CityView Inside is a program that will provide an opportunity for us to give you, the viewer, a kind of behind-the-scenes look at how the city operates. At different times, we'll hear directly from the departments that help keep the city moving. We'll also try our best to keep you informed on happenings in and around Cambridge. Our debut guest is certainly no stranger. As a matter of fact, he is one of the most visible officials in the city. Cambridge City Manager Richard Rossi is here with us to discuss all things Cambridge. But before we get to Mr. Rossi, let's start with this short clip.
I think this is a very, very exciting time for our city. With the hiring of Mr. Rossi, we have sent a very clear message to the community regarding continued stability of this great city. We heard earlier tonight the AAA bond rating continues for the city. I think this is a time of transition for our community, but it is a time that we want to set the statement that we are a city that is stable and we are in good shape, and we are very excited about being the new city manager coming on board on July 1st. And with that, I would urge my colleagues to approve this contract.
And the Cambridge City Council did just that. They took up the recommendation, and Richard C. Rossi was approved and sworn in as city manager. He hit the ground running, overseeing a number of construction and infrastructure projects to benefit the residents of Cambridge. His tenure will keep him at the helm of the biotech boom that continues to revitalize the Kendall Square area. And he has the ever-present challenge of balancing the city's plans and priorities for its neighborhoods with some of the nation's world-class universities.
And welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Rossi.
Thank you for inviting me.
Anytime. So, we're coming up on your one-year anniversary as city manager. How does it feel?
It feels great. The city council gave me an opportunity that I dreamt about for many years. I always enjoy my work here. I love this community, and you know, it's a dream come true. So I've really enjoyed my work.
Yeah. So it's been a long road, like you said. You've been working for the city for 43 years?
43 years plus, yeah.
43 years. So where did you get your start in the city?
Well, actually, when I was in high school, right across the street at Cambridge High and Latin School, I worked summers at the Public Works Department and at the Water Department,
Yeah.
and you know, kind of enjoyed that. When I was in college, I wanted to be a teacher. I did some substitute teaching at Cambridge High and Latin School. Subsequent to that, I was the manager of the Brattle Theater in Harvard Square, and loved that job. That was an absolutely great job.
Yeah.
And there was an opportunity for internships in the city of Cambridge, and I took one of those internships and worked my way from there in 1971 to where I am today.
Wow, it's very impressive.
Thank you.
So, with your new city manager role, there has been also some new city councilors.
Yes.
What has that been like, working with some new people?
I think it's been really good. I think, you know, we got off to a good start. I mean, I like to feel like I'm a person that can work with everybody.
Right.
When I was elected, it was an 8-1 vote, and I made it my goal to make sure that all 9 councilors were treated respectfully, and I would pay attention to all their issues, and I really tried to do that. So I take the same approach with new city councilors. When they were first elected, my staff and I, we reached out to them. We had a session with them where we talked about how the administration works, how we can be helpful to them and their constituents.
Right.
You know, we went over a lot of things to try and make their entry into the city one that was positive. And I think that's paid off, because I think we have developed, I hope they would say the same, a pretty good working relationship.
That's great. So, one of the things that you talk about in your submitted budget message to the council is you talk about building bench strength. Can you elaborate on that for me a little bit?
Sure, I think it's really an important topic as we move along in the city. So Bob Healy was here for many years. I was his deputy for, over 32 years. People start to say, so what's it going to be like after that? And I look across departments, and I want to make sure that there's strength in the departments below the department head level, that there are deputies and assistants and first line supervisors and good supervisors below them, so that we have enough younger people who know how the department runs, who know what it is that we need to deliver for services, and who are good communicators and work well with the public and with other city departments, and making sure that we fill those gaps in the event that people are going to retire or leave, before a new director in a department is hired. I want to make sure that those departments have what I call bench strength, meaning that the people below the directors are in fact capable of keeping things going. When I listened to what Mayor Marr, at that time City Councilor Marr, was saying about, that, we hope for a smooth transition, I've really focused on that. And I think one thing people can say is the government on July 1 was in full operation, and there weren't a lot of snags, and I've been able to fill a few directors' positions, and we're advertising for some more now. Right. And as I do that, I really try and make sure that the people we hire are great communicators, and I want them to be good teachers too. I want them to make sure that they bring their staff in on what they're doing to make sure that we have stronger departments.
Wonderful, thank you. So another thing that you say in your submitted budget message is that you have added additional funds for professional development.
Yes.
So sort of along the same lines. What are we looking at in terms of that?
So I'm very interested in the leadership in city departments. And I think that first meeting I had with my department heads in July was about what I call good leadership. And I want people who run these departments and who are in positions of power and who have authority to be really great leaders. And I expect them to be, to lead by example, to be respectful, to set the tone. I told them all, the city and its citizens, I think, do a great job in supporting city government. These are great jobs. I think they're well benefited, and I think we need to give back to the community in a big way. One of the ways we need to give back is to make sure we're responsive, make sure the staff is motivated, make sure the staff is treated respectfully and is helped when they need help and is guided appropriately. So, developing funds for training in leadership, I think, is really important. Developing funds for better communication, better working relationships amongst coworkers, I think, are things that I'm trying to stress. And, making sure that we're respectful of each other, understanding that, this is a big workforce, and not all of us are the same, come from different backgrounds. We're all different people. And I want that to be something that's a positive. So I will put the money there, and I will create a new position in the personnel department for a human resources director, because I want staff to be properly trained, properly motivated, and to be able to all get along and work together. I think that's really important.
Absolutely. So what do you think some of the areas that you would like to see more training in are?
So I think leadership is key.
Right.
I think respecting and understanding our differences and communicating, I think, is another one. I've been spending, the Deputy City Manager, Lisa Peterson, and myself have been spending a lot of time going around to all the city buildings, introducing ourselves to all the city staff, talking to them about what we feel is, a good city employee, what's important to me as sort of their leader, and what I expect back from them. And we're getting some ideas around training. We're getting some ideas around collaboration. What's interesting is people in departments want to get to know their counterparts in other departments. So we're beginning to formulate trainings and plans around that, how to have difficult conversations, whether that's internally within your department or with the public or the business community, also something that people are interested in. So we're getting a lot of what I would call good feedback and comments around that. But I think it's very, very important for me and for my deputy to be able to explain to city staff what our expectations are.
Exactly.
And I believe that, I don't believe, I know, the city treats employees well. And we really, I think, deserve employees to work hard, be productive, and be respectful to each other. So that's a big part of what I think about.
So have you gotten some of this feedback from the citizens of Cambridge, or was this just something that you came in and you wanted to do?
I've always wanted to do this, and I really believe in this. I believe in good communication, and I believe, I think one of the reasons I got to where I got to in the city is because I always respected the fact that I had a good job and I needed to work hard, and I always wanted to. And I learned that from my parents, and they were great role models for me in that regard. And I just believe in that. And I talk to citizens a lot. I've done that for many, many years, and I listen to what they have to say. And I'm, maybe I'm a little bit different in that, I have a pretty much an open door policy. I think that's a good thing to do. Sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to balance everything, but I really believe in listening to people and talking to them, and you'll get good ideas. People have good ideas, and I just think that I want people to understand that this is their government. It's not ours. Like, the employees don't own it.
Right.
It's the citizens who own it. So I try to listen to people, and I really try and be responsive. When I think it's appropriate, I'm going to take some of their ideas and I'm going to use them. So.
Absolutely. What do you think are some of the better ideas that you've gotten lately?
Well, I think people, they want the opportunity to be heard.
Absolutely.
And, people want to see, so just more outreach. I've been very encouraged by people who I talked to a couple of years ago who said that they didn't think the city was, one great example is our IT department, and we're doing a lot of restructuring in IT. We're trying to reach out more to the community, trying to engage citizens more. A couple of city councilors, I think, have put forth some great initiatives. Lisa Peterson and Mary Hart and Louis DePasquale have led a process to sort of create all new governance around IT, to create ways in which we can be more responsive to the community. So, I hear people come to the microphone and say they're pleased, they think that the city has been listening. That's really what I preach. We have a lot of the answers, we don't have all the answers.
Right.
So it's good to talk to people.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I want to talk about is this net zero initiative that Cambridge has, and some of the construction that's been going on lately in regards to sustainability.
Yes.
So, Martin Luther King School,
Yes.
big construction project right now, and it's set to be Cambridge's first net zero building. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
So that's a very interesting project,
It is.
and it is a great goal for that to be our first net zero building. One of the problems you have in Cambridge is, so obviously to get to net zero, one of the things we have to do is create a lot of renewable energy. So Cambridge is it's a very rich community in many ways, but one of the areas where we're not very rich is in the amount of land we have. Yeah. It's a very small landmass community. So for us to build a new school, we're more in a straight up kind of model. We're not, in an area where we can build long, flat buildings and spread out all over the campus. So it is a challenge to be able to create all the renewable energy we need to get to net zero. It is an awesome goal. I think it is a perfect position for the city to lead in. And we're also taking part in a community-wide study where there is a task force looking at net zero and how that would work in our community. And I think what was important for me in that was to make sure that the task force had we have a lot of citizens with great ideas and great energy in these areas and great experience and wisdom. And I wanted to make sure that the people who are going to have to adhere to this policy, the business community, was also represented fairly at that table. So this is a long conversation. It's part of why Cambridge, I think, is going to be a leader in sustainability. And there are some, it's not a big staff, but I think it is a very brilliant staff that works in that regard. And I think the benefits will be that as a community, we're going to use less energy, we're going to be more sustainable. And what's interesting to me too is I find that new businesses that come into the community will tell us their employees are very interested in the fact that they want to work in a real green building.
Yeah.
So I think it has great value in a lot of ways for the community, and I think it sets the tone that, so the city isn't just mandating these things, the city is dancing to the same music. And I think that's important for us in the area of sustainability.
Absolutely. So this new task force, are citizens able to be on the board?
Yes, we have citizens, we have members of the business community, we have experts in the field, and there are public meetings, so everybody has a chance to weigh in, and then eventually this will come back to the city council, and there'll be opportunities for people to weigh in there. So there's a lot of good work going on in sustainability.
That's very cool. So speaking of the value, is there any money saving that happens with the net zero, or money revenues that are coming in from it?
Well, I mean, obviously, if you're not paying out high energy costs, you're being able to reinvest in other things. And I think that's, I mean, it's the amount of energy you use and the fact that you're not spending the money are certainly going to be of great value. And in a school setting, I mean, the other thing we're doing with net zero is we're using it as a teaching tool.
Oh, yeah.
So to take young kids in their earliest school days and be able to teach them the value of conserving energy and doing things in a more sustainable way, I think is something that you can't even put a price tag on.
Yeah.
It has tremendous value.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and the architects are interested in doing that. It's part of the reason why we chose them. I've been very impressed with the school administration and the leadership from the superintendent's office right down to the school principals and the staff who see this as a great opportunity for them to bring kids along. So I think it's, has a lot of benefits.
That's wonderful. So the new buildings in Cambridge aren't the only ones to be undergoing some sort of energy saving motive. What are some of the other buildings that we can look for to see some things like that?
So if you're talking about city buildings, so we're really trying to prioritize the needs, and we're putting some money forth in the budget to be able to do an analysis of all our city buildings and what are their needs, and many of them have energy retrofit needs. I think as we build new or rehab facilities like the high school right across the street, great example of a major renovation. It was about $112 million, but able to rebuild the energy systems, make them more energy efficient. And these buildings are all very green buildings, and they meet very high standards. And I think they're again, it's a good model for the city to be doing this, because as we promulgate more rules and pass more ordinances and develop more policies around sustainability and energy conservation, we then can say to the community, so it's not just us imposing these rules, we're doing it too. So, and there's, hopefully there's going to be and sometimes maybe some pools of money that people can avail themselves with. So these are kinds of things we're thinking about in the future, how we can offer some things to residents that might help them with some of their problems as they green their buildings too.
Absolutely. It's a very cool initiative. So one of the other things that I noticed that we're doing is the conversion of the LED streetlights. So that's a pretty cool initiative.
Sure is.
That I'm sure will save the city some money.
Sure,
eventually.
and we're accelerating that, trying to get that done as soon as we can.
Right.
So we're going to go and we're going to put new fixtures, LED fixtures, which conserve energy on all our streetlights. We hope to cut our budget substantially, maybe by somewhere between 40 and 60%, and also have the ability to make some areas brighter and some areas more dim. Not everybody wants to see all this light. I think the way that LED streetlights work, it's much more of a cone kind of down rather than flaring out everywhere. So I think it's, again, great project, great energy saver, and the city's into it right now, and we hope to complete it in even a shorter period of time than we originally thought.
That's wonderful. So speaking of making some areas more bright, I want to move into public safety a little bit.
Sure.
So the Cambridge Police Department now has a full-time explosive ordnance unit. Can you talk about that a little bit for me?
Sure. So first let me say how proud I am of all our public safety departments, you know,
Absolutely.
police, fire, emergency communications. And I also want to extend it to the great relationship we have with the ambulance companies in the city. So working together, those departments do a great job. In terms of the new ordinance division, so there is a sergeant and 4 officers who are all equipped with new dogs, and people have seen them in the community. They're labs. They're very sort of people-friendly dogs. You know,
They look very cute.
they're not the type of dogs that people are going to fear or anything. I think they're relatively gentle, and they do a great job. And you know, we just think that given what's happened back to the marathon issue, and given the, you know, the sort of what one can expect in this world today, it's good for us to be prepared, and it helps us keep our residents safer and helps us make this community in general a safer community. So I think this is a really great initiative. I commend the commissioner and his staff for being aggressive with grants, and I also want to commend the city council for saying yes when we brought this initiative forward. I mean, it is an increase in the police budget, and it is one that the taxpayers support. And I just think, again, I'm all for public safety. I want people who come here and live here and work here and spend their life here to feel like this is a good, safe, clean community. So
Yeah,
I applaud this.
Absolutely. So moving on a little bit, talking about the community still, affordable housing. What is going on with that lately?
So affordable housing is it's a great topic for me because as a young kid, I grew up in affordable housing.
Yeah.
And it was very important to our family. It's how we were able to stay in Cambridge. And I think it's, you know, when rent control ended, people were in fear. I think at that time, the city manager was able to bring forth a proposal to the city council where we got special legislation to establish what is known as the Cambridge Affordable Housing Trust.
Right.
And the trust does great work in creating affordable units. I mean, we've created, wow, you know, I'd say probably close to 1,500, 2,000 units. We have either preserved them or built them or used inclusionary zoning as a way to create them. And I think affordable housing to me is so important in Cambridge because it keeps the diversity of the city. And for people who've been around here for a while or grew up here or live here, I mean, that's what's important to people.
Yeah.
And this community has always been, and since I go back to my days as a kid, feeling like, you know, it belongs to everybody. It's really a great place to live. It's a different place. It's welcoming. And I think affordable housing is a big part of that. And I think we have to do everything we can. For years, I was the chairperson of the CPA committee, and I would listen to testimony on an annual basis from citizens. People would be in tears. People would be shaking when they testified because, I mean, there's nothing more important to people than their housing.
Yeah.
And very, very compelling testimony over the importance of affordable housing. So I love what we do. I want us to do more, and I hope the community continues to support it because I really think it's important to the fabric of this community, and it really says a lot about what kind of a community we are.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you say you would like to see more. Do you mean more houses, more funding?
Everything. I mean, so I think that the city council is now asking for some reports from us about ways to receive funds from other developments which would support a pool of money for affordable housing.
Right.
We have traditionally, as a community, supported 80% of the CPA, which is the Community Preservation Act funds,
Yep.
for affordable housing. But the cost of developing affordable housing in this community is very, very expensive. So we're always thinking of creative ways to do that. I think we need to partner more with developers. We're looking at our numbers now to see whether or not we should be raising basic requirements for more affordable housing as housing gets built. And there's going to be a series of meetings that Councilor Simmons is going to hold around housing issues in general, and affordable housing is a big piece of that.
Yeah.
I think we've also really been supportive of the Cambridge Housing Authority and all its initiatives to rebuild and improve their housing, their public housing. I think a major issue for us moving forward, something that the community really needs to be concerned with, is what we call expiring use buildings. So these are buildings that come to the end of their affordability and they're privately owned. And we've got to do everything we can to keep those affordable so that we don't lose numbers of affordable units. So there's a whole slew of things, and community development staff works very hard. Again, a small staff, but very active in working to, create more affordable housing and better affordable housing.
Sounds like it. Sounds like
No,
it's a
really,
big job.
Yeah, it is. It's good, really good stuff.
So, moving away from this a little bit, coming back to your 1-year anniversary, what do you think has been your proudest moment so far?
I think my proudest moment is, for me, is that I have been able to assemble a staff of people who really see their mission as serving the public and really wanting to do a good job for the public and wanting to be really good collaborators with the public. That's a hard thing to do. It's hard to satisfy everybody, but I have so much enthusiasm and so much faith in their ability to do that. I think it makes me very proud. And to be in the position to be able to influence that and influence sort of how the community is served is a great thing for me. So, I just think there's no better place to live and work than a city like Cambridge. It's an amazing place.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Rich, can you briefly tell me what's one thing that you would like to see change in the city?
Well, maybe not change, but certainly be improved on. I think that, Cambridge is a community that belongs to all the people.
Right.
And I think whatever we can do as a government to improve upon that, make everybody feel that they have a piece of the city, that they're connected, that they're being heard, that they're being respected, is really important to me. Cambridge is not, the possession of one group or one segment. It belongs to everybody. And there's a recent initiative that we're working with the City Council on around civic unity. I think that has great potential to build some bridges in the community, to reach out to people, to make sure people feel like they have a voice, they're being heard, they're being respected, they're being listened to.
Yeah.
So I think that's what Cambridge has always stood for, and I want to do everything I can as the city manager to make sure that that becomes everybody's reality.
Absolutely. Well, great. Thank you so much for joining us this week on CityView Inside. It was a lovely discussion, very informative, and I thank you so much, and I would like to invite you to come back at any point.
You know me, I would love to come back. I enjoy talking about the city, and and I'm pleased to be here. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
For more information, please check out our city website, www.cambridgema.gov. For broadcast schedule information, you can check out the 22 CityView website at www.cambridgema.gov/22CityView. For the staff at 22 CityView, I'm Liz Hatch. Good night, and thanks for watching.